This is a collage we did of the real Hanna story. The real Hanna was a blonde Turkish national that was conceived in Ararat, born in Istanbul, raised in the Americas. Her home turf was Canada, but her secondary home was in New York. As a child with black mothers, she would migrate to the United States all the time, but New York City specifically. Her life story became so damn interesting. Now, she was born exactly like this. So that's her grandfather, in a facility where they housed important people and the military surrounded it. That's just how Turkey was. Now, you see how cute this baby is. Over the years, as the story developed, because, she grew into a real princess. But as her life developed, she eventually went back into a military facility. And this was because she was gifted and she was part of UFTs at that time. And the minute she brought out the Tuck Journal or the Iraq work in 2003, automatically she was back with these guys. It's so long, we're kind of shortening it. Now, you see how cute this baby is. Coochie coochie coo, right? But you remember in Jurassic Park where they saw a dinosaur and it was very, very cute. And then all of a sudden, the dinosaur does this. That's eventually what Hanna became. She didn't want to be linked to the military because she was a professional. Her and her best friend were both professionals. Her and her best friend was of 35 years. When they went clubbing together, both very, very beautiful women. The best friend was the female and Hanna was the male. Hanna would hold up the wall, the best friend would be dancing, da 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 da. Every single week was the same story. They shared one family together. Boys. Why is that important in the story? Because our world is changing with sexuality. Maybe if this story happened 50 years from now, the best friend might have been a sexual partner. But that was not the case in the real version of the story. It was a genuine best friend who happened to both women be so pretty, they would always be in the VIP sections with the ball players and all of that. You see, you're watching the evolution of a female. As they migrated her away from the blacks, they didn't like that a Turk was with NBA players. Turkish military is very funny. They like their women hidden. They like to be very private. They leave everything to the Indians and that's the end of it. Like they want nothing to do with TV or anything like that. It's a true story. And all Hanna's doing, not migrating, narrating. So what's interesting about this particular female story, every time it goes back and forth, it creates another journal. So in this particular case, because she was born into a compound facility, it was no different than 20,000 years ago, with the soldiers going from village to village, raiding it, looking for women. It created another journal. Roughly 2,000 years later, they're still looking for women. It became part of her ethics work with conversion and Iraq 2003. Hanna just wanted it to keep it simple, but it's almost like the devil was making it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, possibly to build himself up. But how do you know this female is the real? Well, for those who are coming in, all you have to do is check the smaller courts. In 2013, you'll see Hanna, blonde Turkish national with the Turkish flag, smiling, registering a low-key entry. Kanata means wings. Ilkin versus plaintiff. What's another evidence? Well, when we look at St. Joseph's oratory where she had the first revelation, Why would they alter St. Joseph's oratory? And especially the steps to God. Like, look how tiny it is. Those steps were, take this little piece, times it by 6. That's the original steps. Why would they do that? You know, and then there was a bigger problem. They flattened the top of this piece here of St. Joseph's and they sunk it in. And what were they doing? They were doing Hanna's neck. It's very graphic. These are the cleaner pictures. They sunk Hanna's neck.